Weeks into a packed legislative session, Oregon lawmakers are considering a bill that takes aim at sit-lie ordinances. That's what it's called when cities try to ban people from sitting or lying on the sidewalk. These attempts are often lightning rods for controversy and court challenges. Portland has tried it and failed. Grants Pass did the same thing. But the big precedent comes from Boise, Idaho. 12 years ago, a group of homeless people sued the city for ticketing them for sleeping outside. This even though Boise had a shortage of shelter beds. A judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that qualified as cruel and unusual punishment and violated the Constitution. Now, Oregon's House Speaker says House Bill 3115 will largely force cities statewide to comply with that decision.
If you can't justify moving folks along because there's not enough shelter, then you have to have a different standard of how you treat them. And from my perception, that is more humanely.
House Bill 3115 still has to go through committee hearings and multiple votes before it can be law. That said, the timing is noteworthy. Until this week, that case out of Boise, known as Martin v. Boise, was ongoing. But Monday, the city announced it was dropping its latest appeal. Per a settlement, officials are now pouring $1.3 million into opening new shelters.
Often, it seems that these issues have been coming up in the past 10, 15 years or so as smaller communities are starting to see more people experiencing homelessness on their streets.
Joanne Zuhl is the executive editor of Street Roots. The Portland paper has covered sit-lie ordinances in depth. She notes the Boise ruling and this Oregon bill could very well make these laws less prevalent. But House Bill 3115 does leave room for interpretation. It demands cities be objectively reasonable when considering new laws aimed at regulating camping or sleeping outside.
One reason why these sit laws are so contentious is because of the disparity between what people define as reasonable. And that perspective is weighted by whether or not you are experiencing or have experienced homelessness.
Case in point, the city of Salem enacted a sit-lie ordinance last year, but promised to only enforce it once new shelter spaces were up and running. An official said Monday that hasn't happened yet. Maggie Vespa, KGW News.